Okay, so I'm okay, so I'm gonna talk about my experience in Italy. This is my experience. I totally acknowledge that other people might have a completely different experience. I have now gone twice for a span of a little over 2 months. I don't know why this airplane will not go away. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. So, I stayed in Tuscany. I was in northern Italy. I was in Rome, and I was in Naples. I'll just start with, I love it. Okay, I'll start with my time in Naples. I stayed on, I don't know if it's considered the Amalfi Coast. I think it is, but it's just not like the Amalfi Coast that everybody goes to. I was in this really cute little town where most people did not speak English. It was not a touristy spot. And I was about a 15-minute walk from the Mediterranean Sea. I would literally go there every evening and just float in the sea, not the ocean, and eat dinner looking over the water. It was a really, really beautiful experience. The sunsets there were just gorgeous. And of course, the food, oh my goodness, the food in Naples was to die for. I had a lot of seafood dishes. Favorite thing I ate in Naples, I would get this seafood pasta that had these like long, I don't know what they were. They looked like if a clam were like a long clam worm. I don't know, that sounds disgusting. But it had those, and they were in these like really beautiful shells. If somebody knows what those are, please comment below. But yes, so my experience in Naples was really magical. Everybody was so kind and went out of their way to try to help me, even if the language barrier was really strong. If they couldn't help me, they would find somebody who could. Everywhere I went, no matter what hour it was, I was greeted. It seemed like people were genuinely joyful to have my presence there. I remember walking home very late a couple of times, and I quickly felt at ease. I mean, as much as you should in a foreign place, but I really did feel at ease walking by myself. Everybody I came across, no matter how old or how young, would go out of their way to say hello, see how I'm doing, wondering where I'm from. Oh, hold on. Okay. Um, find a way to connect. And I just remember walking around, exploring that beautiful place. And one of the things that really stood out to me is they make beauty out of everything. Some of the buildings were more run down, even broken, and the beautiful flowers that they would decorate the outside of their homes with, or the things that they were proud of, that just really stood out to me. I thought that was really wonderful. It was really hot, extremely hot. I definitely had to adjust, and I'm from California, so I think that says something. Let's see. I went to Capri. My time in Capri was actually pretty terrible, but visually, Capri is stunning. I think Capri is absolutely stunning. The bluest, clearest water I've ever seen. The gorgeous boats, um you can see along the town, all of the houses had unique doors. The architecture was stunning. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a tourist trap, and I didn't realize that at first. I think you can totally go there and have the best time ever if you're aware of that. I remember by the time I got there, I think I had to take like a bus and then a ferry, and I think that's it for transportation, but it took a while. Once I got there, I was really hungry. It was really hot, and there were a lot of people. And I remember I went into a store to get a souvenir, and I asked if the woman had any places she recommended to eat. And she listed two places pretty quickly. And then she was like, or you could eat here. And it happened to be a place that was like right next door. So I went there. That was a big mistake. I wish my advice is to look up the reviews before you sit down. I did not do that. So the menu looked good. Like everything looked good about this place. The waiters were very enthusiastic. I got a clam pasta that was so salty. I thought I would pass out in that heat if I took one more bite of it. I mean, it was really bad. And I got a bottle of water, and I think that's it. And that came out to about 57 euro, which is extremely expensive for that amount of food. The bottle of water costs like 10 euros itself, which also was really abnormal. Especially, I'm blanking on the name, but one of the things I love about Italy is they have water sources everywhere. Through different fountains, you can fill up your water bottle or just take a sip or cool off, and it's available to everybody, and the water is really good. You can drink it. And here I am paying 10 euros when right next to me there's literally free water, but that's my bad. Lesson learned. So yes, unfortunately it was so hot I didn't even make it to my final destination there because it was too much walking. It was up these an extreme amount of stairs, and I made it about halfway, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. So that was about my trip to Capri. I hope to go back. I think I have more knowledge now. If I go back, I'm definitely going to go kayaking. So I really enjoyed my time in Pompeii, and actually the restaurant or I guess like right outside of Pompeii was very good. I got the most simple sandwich and I could not get over it. It had tuna fish and heirloom tomatoes on a bun, basically a bread bun, not a burger bun. It was so good. It was so simple and it was so delicious. And then I went on a boat trip out to the Mediterranean Sea where they took us diving, and we got to just float in the gorgeous blue water, and there was even a fountain that had natural mineral water that didn't taste very good, but it was a unique experience. Okay, so that's my experience in Naples. 100% would go back. I really love it. I know that some people say it's a little rough around the edges. That is true. It is. I guess there's no denying that. But the people and the food and the spirit, and I just fell in love with the place. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I did, outside of one of the larger train stations, I did step out into an area that was a little sketchy, but I also lived in New York, so I don't know, it was nothing new for me. Then we're going to move on to Rome. I love Rome. It is just the most beautiful city. Even though it was pretty much packed the majority of the time that I was there, whenever I went to any big monument, there was something so magical about it where it wasn't as bothersome as like riding the train, and Naples wasn't being pushed up against a bunch of people and it was really hot. There was just something really magical about Rome that it didn't bother me being surrounded. One of my favorite things in Rome is all of the museums. There's museums everywhere. I'd say Rome probably had my favorite food of all. I am obsessed with artichokes, and by obsessed, I mean obsessed. And they have their traditional Roman artichoke, which is the heart, mostly the heart, and maybe some of the leaves. I think marinated in oil and olive oil and maybe some seasonings, and it was just delicious. I got that pretty much every day. And the cacio de pepe, I think that's how you say it, that was really yummy, although I will say it varied from place. There were a few places I had it where Didn't think it was that good, to be honest, but most of the places I had it from was delicious. Let's see. The shopping, of course, the shopping in Rome was unreal. You could just walk around in stores all day. The cobble street roads were beautiful. And again, that same idea of making beauty out of everything, like gorgeous vines on the side of cracked walls. Yeah, it was really, really wonderful. The weather was really hot in Rome. And you walk a lot. I think roughly I was walking about 20,000 steps every day. For some people, that's not a lot. For me, that was a little bit more than I was used to. And especially in the heat. So I highly recommend electrolytes, definitely. I did have a lot of gelato in all the places that I stayed. My favorite is the pistachio and the fragola. And then occasionally I would get the limone. Okay, so I'm talking a lot about the places. I want to talk about the people for a moment. It would be a lie to say that I wasn't nervous at first coming from the United States, but I was more than pleasantly surprised. I was actually really moved with how I was treated and received by the Italian people. They will forever have a special place in my heart. The people there were so unbelievably kind. They have such a strong sense of community. You can really feel it. Also, the effort to get to know you and try to connect with you felt really, really beautiful. The enthusiasm to share culture. I did not experience any racism at all during my time there. Would it be possible? I'm sure. I didn't experience that, and made Italy one of my most favorite places in the world. The people were just so kind and receptive. In terms of being hit on, that did happen quite a bit. But something that really stood out to me is, for the most part, it was extremely respectful, and however I responded was how I was going to, how do I say that? Bah! However I responded was what I was being met back with, which I really appreciated. Okay, so this brings me to my time in Tuscany. Tuscany was visually so stunning. Again, the people so unbelievably kind and just beautiful, beautiful people. I'm not gonna lie, the food was not my favorite, but mostly because I eat a lot of vegetables and fruit, and I just didn't find that as easily available in the restaurant. It's available in the grocery store, so that was nice. But it's pretty meat heavy, and I don't really eat meat. And so that just wasn't my favorite. But in terms of hiking, nature, right up my alley. Also, all of these beautiful small old towns, that was really wonderful to experience, and I probably felt the safest there. I really could walk around anywhere at any time, and because it was just such a small town, there just didn't seem to be a lot going on to be fearful of. Rome was a little bit of a different story, but I did walk alone quite a few late nights, and I had no problems. So anyways, I highly recommend Italy. I definitely plan to go back. I love it there. I love the food. I love the people. I love the music. The music was really special. Everywhere I went, I felt like people were partaking in music. Not just the music makers, but the audiences were so appreciative of making music and art in general, and that was really, really beautiful to see. Definitely, I recommend, personally, as a beach babe myself, I recommend going somewhere where you have access to the Mediterranean Sea.